Hey, this is Troy from Planet 76. We've got some really good Sixers-focused content coming your way today. Make sure you subscribe to the pod so you can be in the know when we release new content. Enjoy the show. What's going on, Sixers fans? Welcome to another episode of Planet 76. My name's Troy. Michael's here with me, as always, and the NBA regular season is over. It is time for playoff/play-in basketball in Philadelphia. This is episode 143 of Planet 76, and we've got a good one in store. Sixers end the season on an 8-game winning streak. Pretty impressive stuff. Did not lose in Joel Embiid's return when he came back on April 2nd, I believe, and really good stuff that they ended the season with. A win today against the Brooklyn Nets, and it came down to today to decide where they were going to land in that play-in discussion. Unfortunately, Glenn Rivers cost the Sixers again, even though he's not on their sideline. Could not get the job done against the Orlando Magic, though we were rooting for them to avoid that play-in. And they started well. Like, they were up in the first quarter, and then Orlando took off and won that game going away for sure. And then the Pacers took care of business against the Hawks. They had like 85 or something at halftime. That was a rout. But yeah, so because those two teams won, very simple. Sixers finished with the same record as those two teams. And so because of the tie-breaking scenarios, Sixers land at 7, and they have a date with the Miami Heat. Play-in game winner gets the 7 and gets the 2-seeded New York Knicks, who won today and the Bucks lost today. And so because of that, the Knicks have the 2-seed. Michael, all of that, any of that, where are you at? How you feeling? It's play-in time.
I'm nervous. I'd be lying to you if I said otherwise. I made a post on my page a few days ago talking about how I give the Sixers a good chance against anybody. I give them a really good chance, but there's just certain teams that make you a little bit nervous, and the Miami Heat, unfortunately, are one of them. Not only because they are notorious for not caring about the regular season and just kind of not dominating their way through the playoffs, but just kind of beating up on anybody and everybody in their way to the conference finals or the finals, because they've been to the conference finals 4 of the last 5 years. Made the finals twice, in the bubble and last year. That's a team that's done things that no one in the East has done. And it can be scary. And they're obviously not the same team they were last year or in the bubble, obviously. But they still have that identity, a team that is probably going to beat you because they just come out and they play. They don't care who they have on the floor. They just come out and play. And the Sixers have kind of developed that identity a little bit, in the sense of they have guys now who are just going to come out and play and compete and just hoop. They have some guys that just come out and play. Kelly Oubre, Cameron Payne, Kyle Lowry, Buddy Hield. Like, these guys are going to come out and play. They're going to come out and do everything they can to try and win. Nick Batum. It's nice to have some of that identity, and I am comfortable with the Sixers playing. It just, in the back of my mind, it just makes me a little bit nervous having the Sixers play the Miami Heat, because then again, if you do end up losing, you're playing the winner of Hawks Bulls, which very winnable game, sure, but then you win that game, you are up against the Boston Celtics in the first round. Again, right. I want to reiterate, I think the Sixers could beat the Celtics. I'm not chalking that series up as a loss at all. But the Boston Celtics being your first round opponent is not ideal, because then you're probably still going to have to play Milwaukee. And they can beat Milwaukee too. I give them a much better chance of beating Milwaukee, but I don't want them to have to play Milwaukee and Boston in the same playoff run. It would be nice, because then when they make the finals, it'll be a lot more rewarding, but it's going to be a lot more difficult. Best case, obviously, is they win on Wednesday night, take care of business. They go up against the Knicks. Very winnable series. I don't know if we'll do a playoff prediction episode. Yep. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But we probably will. But either way, I think I give the Sixers that series in 6 games. I'm just going to tell you that right now. The Knicks are great,
Okay.
very physical, grinded out team, but
Yeah.
what are you going to do about I mean, and this is the question that every team has to face.
Joel Embiid's a
What are you going to do
problem.
about
Yeah.
Joel Embiid? What are you going to do? Because
Yeah.
they have some guys they could throw at him. Precious Achua, they can throw at him a little bit. Depending on what's going on with Mitchell Robinson, he's a physical-ish presence they could throw at him. But at the end of the day, you're not going to be doing anything about Joel Embiid. So I give the Sixers that series in
Yeah.
6 games.
And the Knicks, I mean,
Yeah,
they play
they
very,
do.
very small. Very small. Which, when you have
The
Joel
problem.
Embiid, that's a problem. So, but anyway, so to your point, though, regarding what could be waiting if you don't win this game. Now, the danger of the play-in, I mean, Sixers are riding an
Yes.
8-game win streak. I mean, it's hard to get more confident than that. But the danger of the play-in is any team in the NBA, any team in NBA history can play poorly 2 games in a row and lose and be gone, out, done.
Yeah.
Right? Sixers can lose to Miami. Sixers could lose to the freaking Bulls. Like it can absolutely happen, even though both are at home. You don't think so, but like
Yeah.
it could happen. You have an
Yeah.
off shooting night. Joel doesn't play well, and you're gone. And so like that's the danger of the play-in. Now, you're confident that they can make the playoffs through this, but given how much better the Celtics have been than every other team in the Eastern Conference this year, and you touched on it a little bit, but I want to give you this is kind of a weird way to word this, but like on a scale of 1 to 10, like how important is it specific to this season because of how good Boston is? Scale of 1 to 10, how important is it for the Sixers to beat Miami because of what could be potentially waiting for them
10.
in Boston?
It's a 10.
Yeah.
There's no reason to, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but the Sixers need to win that game. Because again, yes,
Mm-hmm.
you have another game even if you do lose, but you could also
this year's
lose that
different.
game. You don't
It's
want to
different.
have to put yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
Because again, even if it's kind of a lose-lose. If you lose, you're out. If you win, you play Boston in the first round. I mean, I hate to say that, but you don't want that. You don't.
Yeah.
You don't want that. So you have to win on Wednesday night. Take care of Miami, and then head up to New York and get ready because it's not an easy path. But at this point, the Sixers don't have many easy paths, so that's going to be your best option.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it is a 10. I think this is huge, and it's strictly because of Boston. They're so much better than every other team. Like you think about it last year, a little bit about Miami. Obviously, they have a history in the play-in. They did it last year. They lost that 7-8 game. Then they won the following game, got the 8 seed, beat Milwaukee as the 8 over the 1. Now, Milwaukee wasn't
healthy.
Light years above anybody like Boston is right now in the East, right? And so like this year, the significance of it is far greater. Like for Miami to win that 7-8 game, obviously it wasn't an importance of 10 out of 1 out of 10, right? It was whatever because they went and did it without it and made it all the way to the finals from play-in to the finals. So they just did this, and this is the Sixers' first time, as we know, and it's going to be going down Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN. Loser, as you mentioned, plays the winner of the 9-10 matchup, which will also be Wednesday, the Bulls and the Hawks. Winner of that game, Bulls, Hawks, and the loser of the Sixers game will get Boston. And so Eastern Conference standings as it ends, the regular season today. Boston, New York Knicks, mentioned them at the 2. Milwaukee Bucks, interesting matchup. Cleveland and Orlando are matching up in the 4-5. Indiana Pacers and Bucks will play each other. Indiana's the 6, and then you got the play-in teams: Sixers, Heat, Bulls, and Hawks. All right, couple other notes I just wanted to kind of put on this before we go deep dive into this play-in preview. One, Joel Embiid, what a milestone! Finished the season with more points than minutes played. That's remarkable. That is so remarkable. That hasn't happened since Wilt Chamberlain in 1962. 1,353 points, 1,309 minutes, just 39 games for Joel Embiid. Anytime you're mentioned with Wilt, it's amazing, but like it hasn't happened since 1962. That's a long time ago, and Joel Embiid did that this year. So hats off to him. We're happy he's healthy, and I had a little scare against Orlando the other night, but seems to be all right. Just took the night off today, and yeah. So how happy are you to have Joel Embiid seemingly healthy? I mean, I think every game he's played, he's looked a little better to me. It's all right.
It's you. The thing here, okay. Every time there's conversation about Joel Embiid in the playoffs, specifically non-Sixer fan conversation about Joel Embiid in the playoffs, people talk about it and say, "Oh, well, he's never good in the playoffs. He always drops in the playoffs." That's the famous phrase. He's a playoff dropper, right? The thing that people never talk about with Embiid is that he hasn't been healthy in the playoffs since the bubble, and I'm so serious because
Right.
2019-2020 season was the bubble year. The 2021 season was against the Hawks when he hurt his knee, not healthy in the playoffs. The 21-22 season playoffs was he got hit in the face by Pascal Siakam after Glenn Rivers didn't take him out of the game. He wasn't healthy. This past year, he was coming back from another leg injury, right? It was so long ago. It was a whole year ago. I forget what it was.
Yeah, during
not
the playoffs,
healthy fully. We see what Joel Embiid is when he's healthy. I can almost guarantee you that is what's going to happen in the playoffs if he's healthy. How do I know this? Because in the bubble, he averaged 30 points and 11 rebounds against the Celtics, and they lost in 5 games, and he was healthy. It's not a coincidence that he does this when he's healthy, and it's not something that's just going to go away in the playoffs for no reason. There's a reason he sees a drop in points in the playoffs because he isn't playing the way that he's supposed to because he's not fully healthy. And when a player is not fully healthy, how do you expect them to play properly? You don't. The answer is you don't, and you can't, and you shouldn't.
Yes. Yeah. So hopefully he plays and plays well and continues to stay healthy and get better and just look more comfortable. Kind of I guess Joel Embiid needs to be on the floor. Like if we avoided the play-in and he had to take a week off, that's not going to help him. But taking off today and he last played on Friday, Friday to Wednesday, little kind of a break, and he'll be ready to go. I mean he'll be out there Wednesday, and so I expect a great game from Joel. He played very well against Miami the other couple weeks ago when the Sixers took care of business, and that one is part of this win streak. So high expectations for Joel heading into the playoffs, and so if there's high expectations for Joel, there can be high expectations for the Sixers. If Joel wasn't here, it wouldn't be very high expectations, and we know that because of what history has taught us this season. All right, so a little recap on the Sixers season. So 47-35, they ended the year. They were 29-13 at one point. So think about that. Embiid's meniscus injury happened in late January, returned April 2nd, so a little over 2 months away. He came back, and they got the win over the Thunder, and has played in maybe 6 out of those 8 in that win streak. Could be wrong.
You're right. Then he didn't play against the Spurs. He didn't play against Brooklyn today.
Right, that's it. Yeah.
You're 100% right.
So, like I mentioned earlier, Joel Embiid has played in 39 games this season, and the Sixers are 31-8 when Joel Embiid's on the floor. That's significant. Let's not sleep on that. Tyrese Maxey has done an incredible job this year, carrying his load and then some. 25.9 points a game on the year, 6 boards, 6 assists, almost 4 boards. He's the odds-on favorite to win the Most Improved Player. He's been incredible. It's amazing to see his development year by year. It just continues to get better every single year. But again, Sixers end the season with an 8-game win streak, and they're just a completely different team when Joel Embiid's on the floor. 31-8. 31-8. this season. I don't know what it is with him and Tyrese Maxey. I think it's even a little stronger than that. But 31-8. So what does that give you? I'll give you a little bit on the Heat in just a minute, but like, what is this? Knowing Embiid's here, knowing Tyrese is healthy, knowing, outside of Robert Covington, and it looks like unfortunately Melton might not be available Wednesday either. But outside of those guys, this team is as healthy as they've been in a long time. How's just from a confidence standpoint? I know we're all a little nervous because the Miami Heat. We know what they did last year from the play-in, but
yeah,
how are you feeling about the state of the Sixers right now?
I feel good about the Sixers.
Mm-hmm.
I do, and I feel the best. Now, obviously, having Embiid back helps in terms of how strongly you feel about the Sixers.
Yeah.
But I feel good. I feel the 8-game win streak that they're on currently gives me a lot of hope. And yes, they've beaten some less than subpar teams. They also beat the Thunder. Right. They also beat the Heat.
Yep.
Well, Jimmy Butler didn't play, right?
No, he played.
He played.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. So you're still playing really good teams.
Yeah.
And don't let the Heat's placement in the Eastern Conference fool you. Not to bring it back to them, I'm just saying the Sixers have beat some good teams recently, and it was part of this 8-game win streak that they're on. The Magic, they're good. They're not great, but they're good. The Sixers beat them too by double digits, and that was almost a playoff preview of what would have happened in the playoffs. They're not playing each other, but that's what would have happened if they played.
Mm-hmm.
Sixers would have stomped them. So it's nice to see, and I'm liking the way everyone's playing. I really don't have any complaints. Harris obviously hasn't been great. He was really good today against Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. His best game in a long time. But everybody looks great. Lowry looks great. Payne looks great. Hield looks really good. Oubre looks great. Batum looks amazing.
Yeah.
Maxey, obviously. Maxey was a little weird today just because I think some of the coverages he was getting were making him work really hard for his baskets, and it didn't end well. But everyone's looking great. Embiid's looking good. I'm glad Melton's back. I hope we get Robert Covington. That's my only concern is where is he at? What is he doing? And is he going to come back for the playoffs? And if so, when? Because now would be the time.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know when it's going to be, but now would be the time. He hasn't played since like February. What's happening? Somebody let me know. Where is Robert Covington?
Nurse has been extremely vague on that.
Yeah. I mean, does he know?
He doesn't know much, I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. The Miami Heat. Mm-hmm. So Sixers did see them not long ago. Yeah. A couple weeks. 109-105 victory over the Heat. And, it's thanks to a game like that the Sixers are playing this 7-8 game at home instead of in Miami. I mean, they went down to Miami and beat them, yep. And I did not want to go back. We obviously, yeah, the preference was the 6, but then almost just as important is this thing that, like, you don't want to play Miami in Miami for that 7-8 game. Let's play in Philadelphia. So they did secure that. Obviously, that's a big deal. Maxey was incredible that game, 37 points, 11 assists, 9 rebounds. Joel, that was just his second game back. He had 29 points in that one, 11 of 25 from the field. It seemed like Jimmy Butler was kind of quiet. He had 20 points, though, 7 of 17. Terry Rozier had 22. Bam had 14 and 11. And Kevin Love, kind of went off. Not kind of, actually. He had 11 points and 16 rebounds. We can't have that on Wednesday.
No, we
turning
can't.
back the clock like that. But Miami obviously has a pretty balanced scoring approach, led by Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, who are both around 20, 21 points a game, and then Bam with 19. Yeah. The newest acquisition, or one of the newer ones, Terry Rozier, pun very much intended. He is scary to me. We'll get there in a minute, but he's a threat. He can go and get 30. Yeah. He just can. And so he's averaging about 16 a game in his 31 games with Miami since coming over from Charlotte. Big part of the reason we got Kyle Lowry. So kind of an interesting point there.
Yeah.
And I mentioned earlier, they're familiar with the play-in, lost that 7-8 game last year, won the second game. They beat the Bucks, the Knicks, and the Celtics, and then lost to the Nuggets in 5 in the finals. Feels like that was a longer time ago, but that was just last season. So they were just here. They just did this.
Not even a full calendar year.
I know, right? But man, yeah, like your point. I mean, they've been to the finals a couple times recently, and their core is still there and still the same, led by Jimmy Butler. So, your kind of general thoughts on Miami, and then we'll give some keys that we each have for the Sixers and how they can come out of this, one game series with a win and focus on the Knicks moving forward. So what's your kind of just overarching thoughts on the Miami Heat?
General thoughts, I really hope the Sixers don't leave their players open from three, because the Sixers, I don't know what it is, but like teams that take a lot of threes, the Sixers kind of just let them shoot threes as opposed to getting, like, contesting shots, rotating. Like, Nick Nurse has done a good job with that this year, and like being active, like, hey, let's switch that or whatever. And obviously it's up to the players because they're the ones on the court that do the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say you can't let somebody like Jaime Jaquez give you 8 threes, because you're going to lose the game if that happens.
Yeah.
And that's something that could happen and might happen, except I'm hoping the Sixers can still win the game. But that they not letting these guys just hit like 5-6 threes individually, because then the Miami Heat end up shooting 50% from three for the game, and then you lose.
Right. Yeah, can't have that. I just kind of looked at the box score from the game a couple weeks ago. There wasn't anything like crazy, like stat line, like on either side of like, oh, that's not going to happen. Like it wasn't super abnormal. They took a lot of threes. They made 13 of them, I think, for 30%.
Yeah.
Miami, but to me, again, I'm caught up on Terry Rozier. He worries me. I get that they have Bam and Jimmy and Tyler Hero. Like, I get all that, but like he's good, man. He's really good. He can create.
He is.
He can shoot.
Very good.
He can get to the hoop. Like you got to stop him.
Yeah.
He's a big one for me that I think we got to stop him. And then, it's not rocket science either for like from a Sixers standpoint. I mean, if Embiid plays well, if Maxey plays well, and then like one of Oubre or Harris plays, an above average game for them, you got to like your chances. Right. And so like, you can afford a couple of those, both Tobias and Kelly Oubre don't have to get 25, right? Like if one of them gets 20 on a good percentage and the other two do what they're supposed to do, like you kind of like where you're at if I told you that. But it's one game. It's in Philadelphia. It's against the Miami Heat. So it's massive.
It's in Philly?
Yeah.
Oh, man. How did they sell tickets for that game?
Probably just today they listed them.
Yeah, it's 2 days away.
Let me look. I'm going to check prices right now.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, like, think about it from a perspective of, okay, how do you, for example, you brought up Kevin Love a few minutes ago.
Yeah, let's not afford. Yeah, we can't afford someone like him.
How do you keep Kevin Love from getting 16 rebounds? Now, it's not that difficult because he's old. One, he's still got that physicality because when he was with Minnesota, it's kind of like ingrained in him.
Mm-hmm.
But you have Embiid. You should not be getting out rebounded by Kevin Love.
Right.
No. Even Paul Reed's on the floor. Like, Paul Reed could and should be rebounding more than Kevin Love.
Yeah. Well, and in that matchup a couple weeks ago, it took it wasn't looking good for a stretch there in the early fourth quarter,
Yeah.
and it took some defense and some missed shots. I mean, Miami only scored 17 in the fourth, and it's kind of a back and forth
Gosh.
game. Sixers started hot, Miami climbed back into it, took the lead heading into the fourth after winning the third by 9, and then Sixers ended up just shutting them down at the end, and
Yeah.
Jimmy had a shot, I think, for the win, kind of a shot that he likes to take in those situations over on the right wing, and just missed it, and Sixers got the win. But man, oh man, so yeah, tickets. Sixers getting in the door price is less than I expected. So the
Really?
worst seat in the house getting the door on StubHub, including fees, is only $62 right now
Really?
on Monday,
Wow.
early Monday morning. Right, I was about to say it's Sunday night, but it's after midnight. We're still rolling here on Planet 76. But anyway, Michael, anything else? This is episode 143. In case you didn't hear that, of the podcast, this is our play-in preview. And then, Michael, we're going to have to, if you don't have anything else, we're going to have to discuss kind of our plan moving forward so the listeners can figure out what we're doing. I meant to do it off air, but here we are, and we might as well do it, right?
Okay. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine with me. No, I don't have anything else. I think we pretty much covered everything. We're gonna obviously know a lot more and have more to discuss after the result of Wednesday's game. Good and bad. I mean, more so good if they win, obviously, but bad if they win. There's. Let's just say if this is not the most ideal situation.
It's not.
No.
But it can all be a thing of the past if you take care of business on Wednesday, and then it's like, all right, well, we're going to New York, and I think there's something to be said for you win this game. I mean, not only are you riding the momentum you're coming off of in the regular season, but you're winning. I mean, I guess it's not technically a must-win game, but it's a one-game series. Winner moves on, and you're locked into the playoffs, and the other one has one more opportunity. But that kind of does something when you head into New York. Hopefully, again, getting way ahead, but even if they won that 9-10 or the next game and they go to Boston, you're coming off a game you had to win, and Boston's not, and New York's not. But anyway, so Michael, the game's on Wednesday, 7:00 Eastern. Now, I mean, let's go through the hypothetically good situations here.
Yes.
They take care of business. Obviously, Wednesday night we can do a little recap, and then we might as well get our round one preview on of the Sixers-Knicks matchup. Is that good? Good with that?
With me.
All right.
With me. And this is I haven't kind of mentioned this to Troy already, but we have a guest coming to the podcast very soon. I can't say much, but what I will say, very special guest. I'm excited.
Awesome.
Kind of out of not a guest like we've had before. We've had some listeners, a couple Sixers people on before, but this is more of a broader, on a much larger scale guest.
Sweet.
So I'm very excited. I can't say more, but be on the lookout for that. It will more than likely be the episode that we record after the playoff preview, unless the playoff preview falls when we can have this person, which I still have to figure that out.
Okay.
We'll have to wait and see. So Troy and I are obviously going to discuss that, but I did want to kind of tease that a little bit, just to maybe build a little bit of hype, depending on who's listening.
Absolutely. Yeah, so be on the lookout for that for sure. That's exciting stuff. And it's playoff time again, so what that means is the return of Planet 76 5-minute recaps for the third consecutive season, I believe.
Edition.
And if you don't know what that is, let me tell you what that is. Michael or myself will record a quick 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there, minute reaction to every single Sixers playoff game. Every single one, and it'll be up very quickly after the conclusion of every game. It just works. One of us is always available to do it, and it works beautifully. We just take turns alternating usually, and it's awesome. So be on the lookout. Planet 76 5-minute recaps, just quick mini episodes after each game, giving our take, giving some numbers, and giving a preview of what's to come. So be on the lookout for those. But again, Wednesday night, well, obviously, Wednesday night's going to be a preview of some sort. It's going to be a preview of what we hope is the New York Knicks matchup, or it's going to be a preview of the winner-go-home matchup. So be on the lookout for that. And, this is Planet 76, episode 143. We will see you on Wednesday when we record again. So we'll see you then. You just listened to an episode of the Planet 76 podcast. Hey, we appreciate you joining us for this episode. Whatever platform you're on, why don't you hit that subscribe button for us, and we'll see you next time.